Yeah, this one today may be for a lot of us the biggest heavyweight of them all, or at least the one that kind of cuts the deepest for us. This idea of how can you believe in a God that allows such awful things to go on in the world? I'm calling round one love over robots. Love over robots. Okay, here's the proposition. Okay, so you say there's a God who's all powerful, and he's all loving. And yet I see a lot of the awful things that happen in our world. You know what? I can't commit intellectual suicide on this. If I'm going to be honest, one of those three can't be true. And I know the third one's true because I look around me and I see all the pain. So here's the deal. Either this God is not quite as powerful as you think he is, or he's not quite as loving as you hope that he is, because something doesn't add up. And what do we know? What do we know about God? Well, one of the tightest definitions that we see of God in the Bible is in 1 John. It says, God is love. He wants people to experience love, but love cannot be forced because then he's got robots, and God chooses love over robots every time. So imagine that that's you over here. There's a door here. We'll call this door number one. And behind door number one is God. And by definition, that's where love is. As a matter of fact, that's all love. So God creates in completion. Everything that we ever needed is behind door number one. There's nothing that we need that exists outside of it. Everything that we need is behind door number one. God's there, and by definition, all love is there. So that's awesome. But here's the twist. Love always involves a choice. So for there to be love, for there to be a choice, there has to be another option. Has to be a door number two. And what could possibly be behind door number two? Well, it can't be God. Because if God's behind door number two, he's just giving you a fake choice. And that's really no choice, and love can't be there. God can't be behind there. You know what else can't be behind there? Love. The Apostle Paul talks about this in this letter that he's writing to the church at Rome of what happens here. Romans 5. 5:12, he says, therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all men because all sinned. What Paul's saying here is it's a door number two thing. It's a door number two thing because the story of the story is that from Genesis and Adam and Eve down to you and I, we've all been flirting with door number two. Whether it's cracked open just a bit or it's flung open all the way from Adam and Eve down to you and I, the toxic contents of door number two have been spilling out into the world. And like one drop of cyanide in a barrel, the water supply is tainted, there's poison in the well. And see, the other thing we have to know is also behind door number two, this is not just this passive toxic waste oozing out. It's being spewed into our world because there is an active enemy back there. There's an active enemy who has one goal and one goal alone, and that is to keep you from love. Now, something about this, though, and warning here, this is hard truth time, okay? Hard truth. We have a significant challenge when we approach this question, when we come at it with the assumption that the greatest goal God has for us is a pain-free existence. Okay, spoiler alert. It's not. It's not, because God thinks too highly of us. God's got a much greater goal for us than just a pain-free existence. In the Bible, again and again, it uses this metaphor for God as a father. That God's our father. He's our father in heaven. And of course, any good parent, they don't want to see pain for their children. They don't want to be suffering for their children. Absolutely not. But any good parent, very quickly as a parent in the life of that child, you come to a place where you have to make a decision. Is my highest goal, most honorable goal for this child's life that they experience a pain-free existence? Or is my highest goal that they grow into a fully functioning, healthy adult? Call round two warning signals. Warning signals. And because I think that it can be dangerous to paint all pain with the same brush. And certainly there is some pain we experience in our life just because there's poison in the well. Other times, though, I think there's some pain we have which is actually different. It's actually a warning signal that's been put there for us to keep us from greater danger. Some of our pain is not a curse, it's actually a gift. Maybe yet that one more time, yet again, that destructive relationship that you're coming out of that so trashed you, maybe it's because you're dating these people looking to find your identity in them as opposed to rooting your identity in the fact that you're created by the God of the universe and then dating out of that knowledge. Maybe for you, the significant financial stress you're under, yet again, is more often related to the fact that if you're honest, it's because you buy things that you don't need. Some of our pain and suffering is certainly just simply because there's poison in the well. But some of our pain is also healthy warning signals, and it's actually a gift, not a curse. Redeeming the damage. Wherever your particular flavor of pain happens to come from, whether it's just simply from the fact that there's poison in the well, or it may be a warning signal, wherever that it's coming from, there's a commonality in what is done with it. And I want to be careful here because we need to be careful to distinguish between things God does to us and things God does with us. Because there's a clear picture in the Bible that wherever our pain happens to come from, God can redeem it for much deeper, more beautiful things. The Apostle Paul, who we'd be kind of looking at his writing here to the church at Rome this morning, was no stranger to suffering by anybody's definition. In Romans 5, Paul says, "But we also rejoice in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." We don't rejoice for our sufferings, but we can rejoice in our sufferings because of what our loving Father does with them wherever that they came from. The thing I want you to know, wherever you are, whatever you're carrying in here today, you need to know you are not alone. And God is not done writing this chapter.